Hey campers, Commander Toasty here. I'm going to help you with your refrigerators, I think. I've been doing, I don't know, 40 something years RVing. I've had them all, 40-foot Class A's, pullers and pushers and, C's and trailers, everything else. Always frustrated with refrigerators, but over the decades, I have learned to work on them. I've replaced them. I know what makes them tick, and I never have any problem. I keep my refrigerator at 34 degrees and my freezer at 0 degrees in Arizona, no problem, not a concern. So there are several steps. The best one, save for last, because it's also the freest one. Freest meaning free. So first one, very simple. Amazon, of course. It's always Amazon. 20 bucks, something like that. It's just a fan, runs on a couple of D-cell batteries, has an on-off switch. Very small fan. You can barely feel it running. But you have no air circulation in these refrigerators. No fan in them like there is in your home refrigerator. And the more groceries you put in there, the more still that air becomes. You need one of these. You put them on the bottom corner of the lowest shelf and just let it purr. The batteries last a long time. I'm a year on this one. It's great. This is step one. You need to move the air in that refrigerator. Otherwise, it just sits around those fins. You know, those cooling fins? It just sits there. It doesn't get anywhere else. Sinks down on the bottom, doesn't go anyplace. So get one of those. Now, let's go take a look at step two, which is, again, fans. All right, here we have, now, there's the cover. Pulled the cover off. You all have the same cover. Don't worry about it. When you get in here, first of all, keep all this stuff clean. It's time for me to get the rag out. Wipe down all these pipes. Don't do it when you use it in the fridge because you're going to burn your fingers, and there's a risk of electric shock in here if you're plugged in. So when you're cooled down, just wipe down as far up as you can get. Get a little, get a ruler or something and run a rag up there. Keep this clean. It's really going to make a difference in how you perform. Second thing, and this is a big one, put a 12-volt fan back here. And so here's a picture from Amazon of a 3-fan, but you really don't need a 3-fan. What you want to do is you want to get the air going up. This coil goes like this in an oval. And you want to get the air going up in the middle of that because sometimes it gets trapped, it gets stagnant. You don't get the cooling you need. You're not pulling the hot out of this place. They make a lot of fans. The fancy one that I'm showing you is 30 bucks. You can get any 12-volt fan. And then go to your schematic. You'll find where you can find 12 volts for the refrigerator door, and just take it from in here. Be careful, once again, not when you're plugged in. And hook your fan to that. You're going to hook up to the interior light, 12-volt light. So that will get the air up in there, which is critical. You can put an exhaust fan up above on top, but it's a lot of work. And anywhere you get a fan down here, as long as you get the air moving, you're going to be way ahead. Another thing, installation. They just slap these things in. Your coil should have no more than 1 inch separation between the inside of the wall and the top side of the coil. That's going to force the air to go past the coil. When you get, it's windy out here, things shaking. When you get too much space in here, and I've seen a lot of these with 3 inches and 4 inches of gap in here, the air will go up along the inside of the wall, doesn't go up along the coil, doesn't cool the coil. That's no good. If you find you have a big gap in here, which is not unusual, if you find you have a big gap in here, just get some insulating material, something non-flammable, and put it up there with some 777 adhesive or any adhesive you can get, and just put it up in there. Don't lay it up against the coil. Shouldn't be touching the coil, but lay it against the inside of that wall, and that convection will get to work for you. That's about all there is to do out here. Keep it clean. These things come from the dealer, from the factory, and they're just full of, this thing's full of wood chunks. Brother, I mean, this is a fire hazard in here, and it's full of wood chunks. It's not good, but that's how they make them. Now, this is another gadget that you should have on your fridge. You get 2 transmitters, one in the fridge, one in the freezer. And then you put this on the wall. I put it by my thermostat. And so this is just to show you an example. It gives you high alarm, low alarm. It'll actually give you a beep. if you get out of bounds, out of range there. But look at those temperatures. My freezer is at 34, fridge is at 50. I turned everything off a day ago, more than 24 hours ago. Just been coasting on those ice packs that I make. So the point is that you can drive all day long without having to run the fridge, and you're going to be fine. All right, so here's the trick. Here's what I do. These are previously used water bottles. All right, previously used water bottles. Once I drink them, what I do is I just take them, very cold, and I fill them with tap water up to about here, and then with the cap off, I freeze them in the home freezer, and then I put the cap back on tight. Bring them out here, and then they're the right size, because when you freeze water, it expands, duh. And then when it thaws, it collapses. So that gives you the right size for the bottles. You put as many in here as you can, and then for whatever room, you start to stock your freezer, and for whatever room you don't have for these, put them down below in the fridge. So I'll have a whole bunch of those in the fridge as well. This will keep you going for days, and it will help the temperature tremendously. It's wonderful. It's the best way to go. It will also pre-cool. If you want to do all these in your home freezer and then load them up, it will pre-cool you immediately. You can start stocking your freezer and your fridge. So that's another thing. I don't do that anymore. I let them melt in between trips, and then I turn it on 2 days ahead of time. They refreeze, and then they're good. They coast like crazy. This is the transmitter for the freezer, and then down here somewhere, transmitter for the fridge. So that helps. And my fridge happens too. It's right there. This is all chalkboard, which is really cool. Good for messages and like that. Okay, now that's it. I hope it worked for you. Remember, I am the one true Commander Toasty. A little side note, the thermal mass, if you want to go on Google, or by preferred DuckDuckGo, and look up thermal mass and understand why those frozen bottles, and even when they're not frozen, why they help, that works at home too. Put them in your freezer, put them in your fridge. Even though in the fridge they're just going to be water, that thermal mass, an object in motion tends to stay in motion, and an object at rest tends to stay at rest. A temperature is the same thing. So you get a thermal mass, and it tries to stay where it is. So you load your refrigerator with those water bottles, you're going to see it on your energy bill, and you'll thank me. That's it for now. Ciao.